Welcome into the Farzy Show, presented by DestinationRetirement.com. Here from the Steven Sager Studio. Hope you guys had just a lovely weekend. Just a lovely weekend that was capped off with the Sixers barely squeaking by the Orlando Magic in overtime. That was fun. James Harden passing up on a wide open three. That was redonkulous. I will use this term, redonkulous, and I'm not afraid to use it again. It was redonkulous, the three he passed up on yesterday. And then the Flyers, they did what the Flyers do. They find a way to lose a game, and that's exactly what they did yesterday. The Phillies apparently are interested in Odubel Herrera because why not just keep pouring salt in an open wound? And everybody else is making trades, making big signings and all that stuff. Nelson Cruz signs, and I would have liked to have Nelson Cruz here in Philadelphia with the Phillies, but, whatever. I missed the lockout already. Welcome into the show, everybody. We got a lot to get to today, and hey, guess what? Bonus me today, folks. Be on Fox 29. Coming up a little bit later this morning at 7:45, so I'll be headed on over there when we wrap up the show, but I honestly do mean that I hope all you guys had a wonderful weekend, because what we're about to get into isn't great. Now, not many people have a claim to fame, and I feel like I have a claim to fame, and my claim to fame is asking this question. If you remember the quote from years ago, Mike Schmidt was asked about, playing in Philadelphia, and he said, Philadelphia, the joy of victory and the thrill of reading about it. No, what was it? The joy of victory and the agony of reading about it reading about it the next day. Yeah, I think I butchered that pretty good. But you understand what I'm saying. Even if you win, we find things to critique. Negativity thrives. All right. And in that kind of idea, I present this. There are no such thing as moral victories. Like we always say after a loss, there might be some good things that came out of it that you can say, oh, well, there's a silver lining here. And maybe if they play like this in the future, then maybe against lesser teams, they'll win more games, whatever it might be. And that's what you call a moral victory. And we always like to say there are no moral victories, right? But here's where I've coined a phrase. There are moral losses. And a moral loss is a game that you've won, but nobody feels good afterwards. And yesterday's game against the Orlando Magic, where the Sixers needed overtime to defeat an 18-win team, is a moral loss. Yes, they won, but it was a moral loss. James Harden doesn't make anybody feel better about the way he's been playing recently over the last two games, where he's just been awful in terms of shooting percentage from the floor. He's been not so great three-point percentage either, including last night, where until the fourth quarter, when, yes, they needed him most, he hit his shots. Yes, he stepped up in those moments. But you maybe don't have those moments be as big or as meaningful if he plays somewhat decent throughout the game, and that seemed to be a tough task for him. Yes, 26 points by him. Tobias Harris, who stepped up phenomenally yesterday, including the big shot in overtime to give the Sixers the win, to really clinch that win for him. That was great. But when you watch James Harden throughout that game yesterday, you can't tell me that you felt good about the way he played. Now, when you look at the stat line, for instance, for Harden, like I mentioned, 26 points. He was 13 of 15 from the free throw line, which was great. But 3 for 11 from beyond the arc, 5 of 19 shooting. That ain't good. And this, folks, I'll show you this picture. I took this yesterday. I took this morning. I watched this last night, and I had to go back to see if it was as bad. So excuse the quality of this, but here's a shot that I took last night, of last night's game. I had to go back and watch it today. This is James Harden, wide open at the top of the key. All right? What if I told you this shot with 8:57 remaining in the fourth quarter, this shot right here ended up being a pass to Georges Niang, which clanged off the rim and ended up bouncing over the backboard and going out of bounds? What if I told you James Harden did not shoot this wide open three? I mean, I expected, just like anybody, that James Harden would have some struggles. I didn't think it was going to be all puppy dogs and ice cream when he came here to Philadelphia. I knew that there was going to be some problems. Every shooter goes through woes. And last night, I believe at that time, he was 1 for 7 from beyond the arc, and he passed that ball where he's wide open at the top of the key, as you just saw, to Georges Niang, who I think was even shocked, friend of the show, Georges Niang, who was even shocked that James Harden passed that ball up. And if you watch this play in the early goings of the fourth quarter, the thing that scared me the most about this is that James Harden looked terrified to shoot. I never want to see that. And a guy that I just unloaded a huge trade package for to bring him to Philadelphia to be the team to put you over the hump and finally get you at least to an Eastern Conference Finals. There was this, we talk about hesitation a lot. Somebody was tweeting me last night about a hezzy. He's a little hezzy right there. Dribble hezzy, right? That was like a hezzy. That was awful. That was him at the top of the key. Wide open. He goes, oh, I got this shot. And then you could see him thinking about, I don't want to shoot it. Yeah. And he did a little, it was like he almost dropped the ball. It looked like a pitcher balking. You know what I'm saying? Like he dropped the ball as he was going into his windup. And he goes, nah, I probably shouldn't be the guy. Boom, to Niang, who missed 3. I never want to see that. And one of the things that's supposed to be so great about James Harden is like you're not supposed to have a conscience. If you're a great shooter, you're not supposed to have a conscience. Just keep on shooting. And I've always disagreed with that because I always feel like really great shooters know when they're not having a good day. And maybe James Harden was definitely going through that as he passed up on that open 3 opportunity. Sixers were down 88-82 at the time. So as he puts that in, they're down 1. But great shooters, I feel like, yeah, they should have that little sensor that goes off in their head. I'm having a bad night. Maybe I shouldn't be going after it right now. Maybe I should be deferring a little bit. But James Harden's one of those guys that it has no conscience. I got to keep on shooting. The next one's going in. I feel like some shooters, though, they know when they're not having it and they got to pass it off. Obviously, in that moment, that was James Harden. I'd prefer for him to be the other guy. The guy that's just going to keep on shooting because the next one's going in. And sure enough, as the fourth quarter went on, he ended up hitting a couple of more threes. And selfishly, I had it over on threes for James Harden last night as part of a 5-leg parlay, which ended up hitting. Thank you very much. Overtime gave me a little scare. I had said the Sixers would score under 120 points, but whatever. Enough of the selfishness. But his struggles last night were, again, atrocious. And I was thinking to myself, this is the guy, James Harden, that told you after they played the Nets, I'm glad this happened. We needed to get our asses kicked, more or less. We're going to come out next time. We're going to learn from this. We're going to look at the tape. We're going to come out as a better team. All right, well, how many reality checks did you need? Did you need an ass whooping against the Nets and then an overtime win against the hapless Magic? All right, so that's all out of your system, right? The reality check for the Sixers, that's done. We're good? All right, cool. I hope so. Because tonight is no joke. It's a back-to-back. The first leg of this back-to-back is on the road, obviously, against the Magic as it was last night. And then you got to come back today in South Philly to play against the Denver Nuggets. And in that, you got to play against Nikola Jokic, which I think absolutely no question about it, Joel Embiid has to play. And I know that question was out there on social media. I know people were trying to get an answer after the press conference or after the game last night to no avail. To me, Joel Embiid has to play tonight. And I give you this theory. It matters greatly, and this is not breaking news, it matters greatly to the MVP race that Joel Embiid gets an opportunity to dominate against Nikola Jokic. You need the process versus the Joker. That needs to happen tonight. And if Doc Rivers is going to have certain games throughout the season where he puts Joel Embiid back into a game that the Sixers are clearly going to win simply so he could get 30 points and extend that streak, or simply to get an assist to get him a triple-double, this is the greatest degree of that same type of thought process. You need to get him in the game to get him that MVP trophy. And yes, is it the number one focus of the Sixers season to make sure they get an MVP for Joel Embiid? No, obviously not. It's to give him the best chance to win a championship. To hell with that tonight. This is about Joel Embiid. Because guess what? Your team's going to look a lot better as a champion if you have another MVP playing for it. James Harden's got his MVP trophy. Joel Embiid needs to go get his this season. And this is a game tonight that will matter greatly to the rest of the career of Joel Embiid. If you really want to say, as the Sixers front office, we can't waste the prime of Joel Embiid, how great is that prime if you don't at least get him an MVP trophy? Get it to him tonight. This is a night where he can put an exclamation point on that candidacy for the MVP of the NBA for the 2021-2022 season. Joel Embiid's got to play tonight. Not just for the fact of that MVP trophy, but let's face it, he obviously gives the Sixers the best chance to win when he's in the lineup. I know it's a back-to-back. I know we just played overtime. To hell with that. Sometimes you just got to man up and you got to play the sport. If Joel Embiid shows any signs of struggling, he's so fatigued, then you get him out of the game. But this is a game he has to play. And this is a game I think Joel Embiid is going to kick a chair, kick a door down, whatever he's got to do to get into a game. And I think this is the game that he actually says, yeah, that's great, guys, I'm playing. You want to load management, you can go to hell and play. This is, I don't want that moniker anymore of not playing against the big centers of the league anymore. I need to go up against the guy who's the reigning MVP and show why that is my trophy. It starts right now. It starts tonight. 7:30 tip-off, South Philadelphia, Sixers, Nuggets. Embiid has to play. And Embiid has to force his way into the game if that's what it takes. I need to see it. If you're going to play him, triple doubles, you get him assist, triple double, that's great. If you're going to play him to get another 30-point game, this is the same thought process, just to the nth degree. Embiid has to play tonight. Now watch it 9:01. It'll get announced. Embiid getting a break. Oh, that's nice. That's sweet. That's adorable. Plus, I don't really just want to rely on James Harden tonight. That's another reason. Trying to get the Sixers a number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference and hit their best player not playing is certainly not going to help that. By the way, speaking of great players, Kevin Durant had another great game. That was insane. If you missed that one. By the way, Joel Embiid last night logged 41 minutes for those curious. And I say still, to hell with it. And by the way, speaking of James Harden and his 5 for 19, Joel Embiid 9 for 28 field goal percentage. From the field last night, 15 of 17 from the free throw line, and including one time he missed both. You never see that. Joel Embiid missed both free throws last night, late in the game too. But Sixers did get the win, 116-114 in overtime. Shout out to Tobias Harris one more time. This is a guy I've been pulling for, a guy I've been rooting for. You guys know that. I've said that multiple times. But last night was the night they needed somebody to step up. And I thought it was interesting. The guy had 7 points, I think it was, in the first 2 minutes of the game, maybe even the first minute of the game. And it felt like he didn't see the ball again until the fourth quarter. But he stepped up tremendously, was a consistent scorer for the Sixers last night. And while some other guys were struggling from the field, he was 10 for 18 from the floor and also 3 for 5 from beyond the arc. So that was nice to see from them in last night's game. The Flyers. Let me just get in before I get to the Phillies. Gregg Murphy's going to join us, by the way, in a second to talk about Phillies spring training and games getting underway on Thursday. The new broadcast booth on the radio side of things for the Phillies, which is going to be really interesting. But let me just get this. It is really difficult. We always talk about teams, good teams find a way to win, bad teams find a way to lose. And what the Flyers are doing, it's almost like Baxter in Anchorman. It's you ate a whole wheel of cheese. I'm not even mad. I'm impressed. It's the Flyers have eaten so many wheels of cheese this season. It's wow, I'm not even angry anymore. It's wow, it's amazing how you're blowing these games. And last night to see, and I've always hated Marty St. Louis, and yes, it was for 02 and 04 and the way that the Lightning beat the Flyers and all that stuff. But oh my God, watching the Flyers in the third period find ways to lose games, consistently going up a goal in the game. Then the Canadiens come back and they tie it, and the Flyers go up another goal, and they tie it, and the Flyers go up another goal, tied, the Flyers go up a goal, and then 2 unanswered goals, and then they lose in overtime, 4-3 to the Canadiens last night, and some really gorgeous goals. Joel Farabee's assist on the who was it? I forget who. Cam Atkinson. That was a gorgeous assist. You got a guy around him and basically a no-look pass. It was beautiful. Claude Giroux got his 900th point. It was amazing. But the way they lose these games is spectacular in a way. They find a way to lose. And last night, power play, end of the game, they allow a shorthanded goal. Yes, the Canadiens pulled their goalie, so they had the other extra attacker, but still a shorthanded goal. Ties things up to force overtime, and then in overtime, a laser from the Canadiens beats Carter Hart, and it's a loss. Just like that. How do you do that? Only the Flyers this year could find a way to lose in the closing seconds of the game, shorthanded, and then they force overtime and lose. They're just making up ways to lose games now. It's they're running out of it. They're running out of ways to lose games. They're here's 10 more ways to lose a game. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Flyers, they lost. So that sucks. All right, the Phillies. Folks, I don't know what to tell you when it comes to pitchers in baseball, and I don't know what to tell you when it comes to the Phillies and Odubel Herrera. We can talk about off the field stuff with Odubel Herrera. We've certainly done enough of that over the years. But let's talk about just from a baseball standpoint. Let's just baseball standpoint for a second here. What is it going to take to realize that Odubel Herrera is not that good a baseball player? And people argued with me about this last year. And then Odubel had like one incredible month, and everyone's like, "Oh, shut up, Farzy, you don't know what you're talking about." And I was like, "Yeah, this is the adorable year that everyone looks at Odubel Herrera, or excuse me, the adorable month that Odubel Herrera just absolutely hits the cover off the ball and doesn't play a stupid center field position, and everyone goes, 'Oh, look, I told you can play.'" And I'm like, "Yeah, you guys can get caught up in that, swept up in that, and that's fine. I still know at the end of the season he's going to hit between 250 and 270 and have an on base percentage of about 300." And sure enough, last year. 260 on base percentage of 311. Cool. And a mediocre center fielder at best. So here's what it's going to take. First off, do I like the idea that the Phillies even being interested in Odubel Herrera again? No. But here's what I'd like to see a little bit even more so than that. Phillies, go get Kris Bryant to play center field for you. Or another idea, just spitballing here, Mickey Moniak takes over that position. And I know a lot of people, "Oh, Mickey Moniak, yeah, that's not going to happen." Yeah, you're probably right. But the Phillies need somebody else in their farm system, somebody else on their team to step up and play that center field position. And Scott Kingery ain't doing it. I'm crossing my finger that Mickey Moniak's doing it. Remember Scott Kingery, who got optioned off the 40-man roster last year? Cool. Non-roster invitee to spring training. Good times. But the Moniak, I'd love to see do it. Former number 1 overall pick. Yeah, I think everyone would like to see him step up and take those reins, but nobody's doing it. And regardless of that, I don't know how the Phillies still look towards Odubel Herrera and go, "This guy's the answer. You just wait and see." He's 30 years old, and this isn't a new story. He comes in, plays great for a month, and then he's just terrible. And you're watching him and you're going, This guy's the lowest baseball. Like, he makes Ben Revere look like a genius. All right? Like, that's where I go with this. And that's how bad it is. And the first real name that we see the Phillies linked to in a serious negotiation is Odubel Herrera. Yari's Familia comes to town for a low price. That's fine. $6, maybe $7 million at most. You need as much help in your bullpen as you can get, so I'm fine with it. You're not getting anybody that's going to be great like he was a couple of years ago for the Mets, but you're trying to bolster your bullpen as much. Like bullpen arms, I look at and go, yeah, okay, great. Like I don't spend too much time on it in terms of bringing in the veteran guy to see what he could do, and that's where Familia comes in. But when it comes to everything else, I'm like, why, if you continue to explore this option, and this option continues to fail you like Odubel Herrera does, why continue to explore? And why is it still an option? And yes, it's because nobody else on the roster is stepping up. But I'm just hoping that this is just one name that's out there, that it'll be the first of hopefully progressively better names like Kris Bryant, for instance. That's the guy I really would love to get. And I have had I was talking to my buddy about this over the weekend. I've had a man crush on Nick Castellanos for the longest time. Like I remember like comparing incessantly Maikel Franco to Nick Castellanos. Maikel Franco would just be like Nick Castellanos and just finally put it together. Yeah, that had never happened, obviously. So for me, I would love to see that come to fruition for the Phillies. Number 1, Kris Bryant. Number 2, Nick Castellanos. And then you just try to fill in the pieces after that, because that is one hell of a lineup. If you're able to get either of those two guys or both in this Phillies lineup, cross our fingers for that. There is something else that's interesting that's going to be going on here in Philadelphia, and it's what to watch for basically in spring training. And I have to make sure I get to this because it's pretty crazy. But here you go. I'll get to the Wheeler thing in a second. Joe Girardi yesterday was pretty open about Bryson Stott versus Didi Gregorius. I'm here for that. We have wanted for a long time for someone to come up and take over that shortstop spot since Jimmy Rollins has been here. We had some great fielding from Freddie Galvis. Freddie Galvis had a 20 home run season a couple of years back for the Phillies while playing great gold glove caliber shortstop for them. We were waiting for J.P. Crawford to step up. That didn't happen here in Philadelphia. He's put together some nice years out there in Seattle, including a gold glove. We've watched some other guys try. Didi Gregorius had a pretty good season a couple of years ago during pandemic that was unfortunately overshadowed by the fact that it was a shortened season. There's a lot of things we can look at with the Philly shortstop position and go, all right, let's improve. Bryson Stott, if he's that guy, the guy for the next 10 years, and we talk about it all the time in quarterbacks and goaltenders. Can he be that guy? Can he be the guy? Well, I'd love for Bryson Stott to come into training camp, come into spring training, and take over that shortstop spot. And I know a lot of people are on that same wavelength. If he's supposed to be your best prospect, if he's supposed to be a buddy of Bryce Harper and a guy Bryce Harper has taken under his wing, both Vegas guys, then please take those reins this year. And that's not me hating on Didi Gregorius. That's just me looking at a young guy saying, I'd really like that shortstop spot to be sewed up pretty well here in Philadelphia for the next 10 to 15 years. And Bryson Stott certainly has a better opportunity to do that than Didi Gregorius. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for that. But Joe Girardi yesterday was asked about maybe telling Didi Gregorius, hey, what's it going to come down to here, knowing that, well, how's it going to affect your play, knowing that your spot is up for grabs? And here is how Joe Girardi, who knows Didi Gregorius pretty well, talked about that position battle at shortstop.
Oh, I think Didi will take that challenge, and he's going to fight, because Didi is a strong-minded person that really believes in himself. I mean, you have to remember, this is a kid that, had to walk into Yankee Stadium after Derek Jeter. I mean, that's a pretty tough thing to do, and he responded well. So I think he'll really take this challenge and fight like crazy.
We'll see if that happens. That's got to be a nice little feather in your cap, though. If you're looking at Derek Jeter, be like, I got to take over for that guy? Cool. And then you're looking at Bryson Stott and be like, if I can step in for Derek Jeter, I think I can do an all right job by you. But if you're Bryson Stott, you just got to be thinking, the hell with it. This is my spot. This is my opportunity. I'm going to make the most of it. So I'm hoping that's the way it goes down. What I have mentioned many times before about my waning interest in overall baseball, it mainly has to do with pitching. And the way these pitchers, and I'll use the word that's a tired word, but it's accurate, coddled. And I don't know what's happened. And every time I talk to a major league pitcher about pitch count, every time I talk to them about training regimen, guys that pitched maybe 10 or 15 years ago versus guys now, I'm not even going way back to Nolan Ryan or anything like that, but just guys that have pitched a little bit more recently than that. I don't know what has happened with the training regimens from like 20, 30 years ago and guys now. Why is it all of a sudden that guys are just, you got to be careful, just blow his arm out now? Why? I don't know how this has happened, but it's happened. And it's, I think, the biggest downfall of baseball is that pitchers are no longer reliable. Like, I even looked at the numbers a couple of years ago, or looked at last year's numbers, where I believe it was 4 or 5 different guys had 3 complete games in Major League Baseball. And then I looked back to 2002, and it was about, 10 guys had 8 complete games. Then right after that, another 5 guys had 7. And after that, another 5 guys had 6. And that was just 20 years ago. It's 2 decades. It was 2002. And then I look at it right now, and it's like the game has changed so unbelievably so much unbelievably for the bad part. Like, it's gone downhill so bad watching these pitchers try to figure out how to get through 6 or 7 innings even. There's, we got specialists. We got specialists now. And I used to think for the longest time, being that I've watched a lot of Oriole games in the American League because my family's from down there and all that. Like, I always thought DHing would shorten the game in terms of pitching changes and all that. No, there's more because there's more specialists. Like, DH games are a lot longer because you're making more pitching changes, and because there's more offense, you're not making that easy out every time in the lineup. But, oh my God, we're only going to be seeing more of that now that there is the universal DH. And I don't know how to explain it anymore with pitchers. And yesterday I heard Dave Dombrowski talk about Zach Wheeler, who's not going to be ready for the start of the season. Shoulder soreness. Huge question now as to whether or not he's going to be ready. Most likely not. And Dave Dombrowski is addressing the media. And then afterwards, Zach Wheeler's addressing the media. And Zach's like, I'm not going to be ready. What, are you crazy? And right before that, Dave Dombrowski's addressing the media like, well, I'm not really sure if he's going to be ready or not. All I have to say to sum this up is pitchers are weird. That's the best thing I can tell. Like, they don't ramp up until they absolutely have to ramp up. So not knowing when the season was officially going to start, guys didn't start their actual, ramp up period because they didn't know when they were going to have to be full go. as much as I'd love to say, what the hell is it? They're just be ready. Be ready to pitch. What the hell? Just be ready to do your job. As much as I just love to say that, apparently that just goes out the window with professional pitchers. Big league pitchers, no, you just tell me the exact date when I got to be ready to go, and then I'll start progressing to that point. But the longer this drags out, the less likely I am to be ready to pitch opening day. Mind-blowing. Doesn't make any damn sense. Here's Dave Dombrowski trying to explain Zach Wheeler.
One guy that's a little behind is Wheeler. And really in Wheeler's situation, the number of innings that he threw last year, he was taking it very easy. He's here. He's not off the mound yet, but he's ready to get off the mound here very soon. So he may be a little behind, I'd say that. Hopefully still ready for the beginning of the season, I would think.
Is that?
Yeah. So is not, pretty much. So that's great. Greg Murphy will hopefully give us some more explanation as to that coming up in just a minute. But I wish I could tell you. Baseball's weird. Pitchers in baseball are the weirdest thing in the world. Like, of all athletes, goalies in hockey are pretty weird. Pitchers in baseball, I think, are weirder. Like, there's just no rhyme or reason, especially when you look at the drop-off in complete games from 20 years ago to this past year. It's redonkulous. There's that word again, redonkulous. But anyway, hope other than that, you guys had a wonderful weekend. Let me tell you about my man, Mike Seibert, ladies and gentlemen. Mike Seibert, Destination Retirement, destinationretirement.com. Do what I do, ladies and gentlemen. You need to talk to Mike Seibert, a certified professional, a financial advisor for Eagles and Sixers fans only. His firm, Destination Retirement LLC, is a full-service planning firm and a partner of 1847 Financial. Mike helps clients with accumulation and distribution years. Well, what's the difference? A lot. You have to figure out maybe how much you want per month when you retire, how much of your retirement income you want guaranteed no matter what. Do you want to protect your assets from downside market risk? And do you have a written plan? Mike will help you with all this. If you have questions, if you need answers, if you have assets of $250,000 or more, Mike will create a written plan to help offset your retirement expenses free of charge using software from Retirement Analyzer. He usually charges just under $2,000, so act now. Your plan will show how to help offset your retirement expenses and what to do in a volatile market and help minimize taxes. Sound good? I think it sounds great. With over 30 years of experience in the financial game, Mike is committed to helping Eagles and Sixers fans get to and through retirement. You can reach Mike at 484-275-6035. That's 484-275-6035, or visit destinationretirement.com. Click on Find Out at the top of the page and fill out the questionnaire to see how prepared you are for retirement and to sign up for his newsletter. He'll get back to you and talk to you about how he can help. Go Birds, and as always, play the song. Let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com. Always one place, one price, the perfect price every single day at Steven Singer Jewelers. So make sure you check out all Steven has to offer at IHateStevenSinger.com, including that perfect price where you know you can walk into Steven Singer Jewelers at the other corner of 8th and Walnut and just relax because there's no negotiating, no haggling. You don't have to worry, oh, the guy next to me is getting a better deal than me. No. Getting the same deal, because everybody gets that perfect price. Other jewelers like to mark things way up just to mark it down a couple of $100 for fun of you, just to make you feel like you won something. Oh, well, they treated me so great. Well, you shouldn't even had to have haggled or negotiated. You should have just been taken care of and treated like family from the minute you walked in. And when you walk into Steven Singer Jewelers, a real jewelry expert gives you the goods on everything they have in stock. When it comes to beautiful diamond engagement rings, ready for love diamond engagement rings. When it comes to diamond necklaces, tennis bracelets, everything, diamond stud earrings, Steven Singer's got you covered. So do what I do. Head to the other corner of 8th and Walnut or IHateStevenSinger.com. One place, one price, the perfect price every day at Steven Singer Jewelers. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, talk to our friend Gregg Murphy when it comes to all things Phillies baseball. Joining us right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line, this man made so many Phillies fans happy when the news broke early last week, with him returning in a more full-time capacity with the Phillies radio broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him, Gregg Murphy. What's up, Murph?
Farzy, how are you? Good to see you, and I'm just as excited as hopefully everybody else is to be back and ready to get some baseball going for sure.
Certainly, it's you. You're going to obviously be doing your regular thing, but then also Michael Bourne, Eric Kratz going to be joining the broadcast. Kevin Stocker and Chad Durbin, as a matter of fact. So, what do the radio guys have in store for us this season?
Well, it's interesting because you got four guys. Only Kevin Stocker of that group has really ever done this kind of broadcasting before. So we have three new guys that are going to be getting their feet wet for the first time. But, they're working with one of the best in the business in Scott Fransky. So that transition is going to be easy for them. Baseball comes easy to these guys, right? They see the game better than we all ever will because they played it at the highest level. So that part is easy. It's the back and forth with the play-by-play guy that they'll be learning. But, it's four great personalities. I've been around all these guys very often, really great personalities. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun getting to know them, getting to know their personalities on the air and seeing what they have to say.
Is it pretty much just going to be radio? Is it going to be a social media presence? Like, what's going to be going on there?
Yeah, definitely a social media presence too. We're working on that right now. We're going to get ready to launch that soon. So keep your eyes open for that. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay.
But we do hope to have a very heavy social media presence with all of the guys on the radio, including Scott and Larry, myself, and the new guys as well. So keep your eyes open for that.
Wonderful. We will. Now, just selfishly, before we get into Phillies baseball a little bit more in depth, the last time you joined us, I believe I even teased a special project that you and I happen to be working on. We joined up with Steve Rothfeld, who's a great producer here locally in Philadelphia, but he puts together these great shows called Greatest Sports Legends, and now he's done a revamp of that show, Greatest Sports Legends Then and Now, which features you, Greg Murphy, as well as Wes Hall from NBC Sports DC, and myself as like a producer role or moderator, if you will. And this show people can watch on Saturday afternoons locally on PHL 17. Yeah. What did you enjoy so much about doing that show?
It's so much fun going back and looking at the old footage, the Greatest Sports Legends, the original show, which I think was on from 1976 to 1993. They have so much great footage and great interviews with some athletes that we forget, how good they were. So we get a chance to bring them back, talk about them a little bit, and, debate between the three of us, debate back and forth about who could play today, who's the best of all time. It's just a lot of fun. And I think people – who have been watching sports for a long time, they're going to reminisce about, when I was 15 years old, he was everything. And I remember that. And I think that's what it does. It brings back some great memories.
My favorite thing about the show is I feel like a lot of younger generations can't say anymore, oh, that's before my time, because this show kind of lets everyone get that education.
Yeah, I have two sons, one who's 20 and one who's 17. And my 17-year-old, my 20-year-old's in college, but my 17-year-old's still here at home. So he and I have been watching the show, and he has heard these names, Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain and Bob Cousy. He's heard all the names, but he's never seen them before. And now he's getting a chance to hear us talk about them, see them in action a little bit, and he's really enjoying it. He's learning a lot, and he's really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's certainly education for me to be a part of that show as well, man. Now, to jump into the Phillies here, where were you when you heard the news that baseball was, in fact, coming back?
Well, I was literally right here in the house. I was doing some work for another part of my life. I was working on the computer, but I will tell you, Farzy, I'm this guy. I'm the guy with the phone in my hand, refreshing Twitter every 30 seconds. Because we knew it was close and we knew the vote was happening. And for a moment there, we weren't sure if the vote was going to pass. And I'm refresh. And then finally, one of the national reporters broke the news. And I was excited. I'm a fan. I want it back. I'm excited about it. So I say, let's go. I'm ready.
How excited are you in particular for the Phillies season? Obviously, 2 games over 500 last year. We missed out on first place by about 6 games to a team that ended up winning the World Series. How excited are you for this Phillies team itself?
Well, I'm excited. I always am. A new season means new opportunities and all kinds of things that could happen. I mean, no one thought the Atlanta Braves were going to win the World Series last year, and they ended up winning it, right? So I'm excited about the new season. That said, listen to me, Phillies fans. Yes, there's work to be done. This roster is not finished yet. They need a couple of pieces, and they need a couple of big pieces, to be quite honest. I believe that they're working hard to fill those places, whether it be a left fielder, a third baseman, a big bat in the middle of the lineup. There's guys out there, but they just got to go out and get them.
How serious do you think Dave Dombrowski, John Middleton, how serious do you think these guys are about adding another maybe big name to this organization?
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I think it's a 15. These guys, look, anyone can say what they want, but, John Middleton wants to win the World Series every single season. He does. There's no argument there. You cannot argue with me about that. That's a fact. And he brought Dave Dombrowski in to get that job done. So they're very serious about it, obviously. Now they have to figure out how to do it. And I think that's what they're in the process of trying to do right now, is figure out how to do it. Right now, I think if you look at the division, the Phils are third at best right now. They've got some work to do, but there's still time and there's guys out there.
Okay, when it comes to what they have right now, before they add anybody else, Didi Gregorius, Bryson Stott at shortstop, how do you see that battle kind of working out?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to bet, I think it's going to be a battle. In fact, we heard from Joe Girardi on Sunday. We heard from Dave Dombrowski on Sunday, and they both said the same thing. That's going to be a battle in camp. But if you're asking me how I think it's going to play out, I think Didi Gregorius is your starting shortstop at the beginning of the season. I think he'll probably earn that spot, honestly. He had a bad year last year, no doubt about it. He wasn't healthy. But I do think that he's still got a couple of good years left. So I would expect him to win that battle. But know that Bryson Stott is right there behind him. And if Bryson Stott comes out and impresses, that leash is going to be short for Didi, for sure, as it should be. That's professional sports. That's the way it works. So Didi knows that. Bryson knows that. It'll be fun to watch Stott in camp and see him perform. But I think Didi's probably your shortstop on opening day.
How about DH now that it's universal? The universal DH is here. Who do you see getting the most at bats as a DH for this team?
Yeah, so I think that's a little bit up for grabs right now, because I do think that perhaps a new name will get a lot of at-bats at the DH spot. But I think you're going to see Rhys Hoskins get some DH spots. You're certainly going to see JT Realmuto get some spots. Bryce Harper's going to get some shots at the DH position. So, they're going to use it more as a chance to get guys off their feet. They have a lot of guys that can fit that role. They were pretty clear in their press conference that they're not going out to look for a DH to DH 150 games. That's not what they're looking for. If they add in another big bat, any of the names that are out there, you pick it. Chris Bryant, is he going to DH 40 times? Yeah, he'll DH 40 times too. So I think that's what they're looking at now. DH by committee in order to get guys off their feet, but keep their bat in the line.
You mentioned the name Chris Bryant. Do you think, any idea, in your own opinion, is there a ranking system here with the Phillies with looking at Chris Bryant, looking at Nick Castellanos, looking at any of these guys that could be available in free agency right now? Do you have a preference on who they would bring in?
I really don't. And I certainly don't have any inside knowledge, but I don't have a preference. I think each of the, Kyle Schwarber, you can throw his name in there, Nick Castellanos. I think all of those guys will help this team. They're really good players, and they serve roles that the Phillies are currently looking for. A guy like Castellanos, he can play both outfield positions, certainly a big bat in the middle of the lineup. Chris Bryant could play third base, could play left field. He's a guy that's very versatile, big bat in the middle of the lineup. Schwarber, a leadoff guy, or at least he's proven that he can be a very good leadoff guy with a little bit of pop as well. So all of these things are something the Phillies lineup could use. I think they're looking at all three. I think they're talking to all three, and they're just trying to make the best deal they can so that they can plug some other holes that they have as well.
How worried should I be that Zach Wheeler is not exactly ready to throw off a mound just yet?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm going to say not really worried, but I guess more worried today than we would have been before we heard the news on Sunday. I was taken aback a little bit by it, but I listened to what Zach had to say to some of the newspaper reporters down in Clearwater, and I listened to what Joe Girardi said too, and I'm okay. I think we're okay. Zach said that he had a little bit of shoulder soreness back when he first started throwing in December or whatever, so he stopped, waited a couple weeks, and then started again, and ever since then he's been on track. So he's just a couple weeks behind. We get an extra week because of the lockout. So I'm not overly concerned yet. Now, if we hear the word shoulder soreness again in spring training, then it's time to panic, perhaps.
Excellent. What are you most looking forward to with this new radio team that's assembled with you at the helm, my friend? What are you most looking forward to when it comes to this season?
You know what? First and foremost, I'm looking forward to getting back with the guys, both the radio and the TV guys, getting back out on the road and being a part of that broadcast crew again that we really haven't had for 2 years. It's a kind of a special situation when you're involved in a baseball broadcast, 162 games on the road, away from the family, but with your baseball family. And it's a lot of fun. And those guys are some of my closest friends. So I'm really looking forward to just being back and doing that job again and being with all those guys. And again, I'm a baseball fan. And as you know, I'm probably a quasi optimist. No, I'm an optimist, probably way too much of an optimist, but I'm looking forward to getting to the postseason. It's been a while. And I really, really hope this is the year that ends, that drought ends.
Well, I am certainly looking forward to hearing your voice on the radio for even more so than we have in any recent time, my friend. Murph, always great catching up with you. Good luck with the season. I'm sure we'll talk to you again down the line. I know you're going to be headed down there for those games for your own version of spring training with these guys. So nothing but success with that, and good luck to you, my friend.
I appreciate it, Farzy. Good to talk to you. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. The great Gregg Murphy. Murph joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. So one thing I picked up from Murph while we were working together on that TV show, and looks like there'll be more of that, so we're excited about that. Is that Murph is a woodsman, such as myself. Now, I would, if you're looking at somebody to build you a coffee table, I'd probably hire Murph over me. But I remember I was telling you guys about that pasta board that I was making. Ladies and gentlemen, it's finished. I've already used it a couple of times. Check that out, baby. Now, if you don't know what a pasta board is, it's a pastry board, essentially. It's a dough board. You make dough on it and stuff. Well, you roll out the pasta on that and all that stuff. I made that. I used dowel pins for the first time in my life. That was a pain in the ass because you got to be really precise, as I found out the hard way. But anyway, showed that to Murph before we started the interview. Hey! We're comparing our woodworking abilities. But like I said, if you need somebody to build your coffee table or maybe an addition on your house, hire Murph before me. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I showed you guys that. I showed Murph that before the interview. And we were just comparing our woodsman skills. Anyway, great to talk with Gregg Murphy and legit ecstatic for his new role with the Phillies in this capacity, I should say. So I'm excited for that. And then also, I just always liked Eric Kratz. I've interviewed him a couple of times, and he's a really good dude and really good breaking down baseball, as you would expect a, pretty much career backup catcher to be really good at breaking down baseball. Loved listening to him talk baseball. So I look forward to what his role is going to be with the Phillies. Michael Bourne, I saw somebody say in the chat, I forgot Michael Bourne existed, but yeah, Michael Bourne, what could have been with the Phils, man, all those years ago. They ended up winning a World Series in the time that he wasn't here. But anyway, so pretty excited to see how that radio crew comes together. And Kevin Stocker, rookie who hit well over 300 with the 93 Phillies. Look forward to hearing what he has to say as well. So that'll be a fun radio broadcast for the Phillies, no doubt about that. But let me tell you about the good people at Rothman Orthopaedics. Maybe your knee gave out. Maybe you tweaked your back. Maybe you popped your shoulder. And now you can't do what you used to do. Well, that's just part of getting older. Right? Wrong. Not with the Rothman approach to orthopedics. It's here to get you back to being you, back to running, walking, working, back to playing, back to living your life the way you want. With same-day appointments available, you can start today at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Rothman Orthopaedics, the official orthopedic partner of your Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers. That's RothmanOrtho.com. Let me tell you about the great people at WinView. Hopefully you won some money over the weekend with WinView. Joel Embiid, another over. James Harden, despite poor shooting, another over on him as well. So make sure you challenge a friend or family member. Maybe you got that friend or family member that thinks James Harden stinks and never get his over. We'll challenge them to a WinView contest to see if they can walk the walk as well as they talk the talk. Maybe play a little game of Monday Night Football when it rolls back around. Maybe a little NCAA tournament. Have some fun with WinView. You can track all the games with WinView and challenge a friend to a WinView contest. It's not a sports book, though. It's not daily fantasy. It's a social gaming app where you can win real money prizes for making predictions on the games that you love so much. So download the WinView app right now and have yourself a good time. Let's jump into the chat check and see how everybody's doing this fine morning. Oh, did I lose half the chat? I think I lost half the chat. I think I refreshed my screen. I went total boomer on this. All right, anyway. John Cheeseborough, our official correspondent, has arrived. Alyssa is in the chat. Good morning, Alyssa. Dan Schwartz, good morning. All right, Dan, that's a great point about my puppy dogs and ice cream line. I never expected puppy dogs and ice cream with James Harden. I expected strip clubs and parties. There you go. Well, I'll tell you that. I know the video came out of James Harden at a birthday party or whatever the hell he was doing and went out with friends after they lost to the Nets. I'm fine with that. Does it look good? No, I acknowledge it doesn't look good. But, like, I'm not expecting him to sit in a hotel room and sulk. He came out after the game, said exactly what he needed to say. I am more upset with how James Harden played on the court last night than I am about him going to some party. Now, you might say, oh, there's a direct correlation. Nah, I'm sure James Harden has gone out and partied and the next day dropped 40. Like, I'm fine with that. Sixers still won. He still got his you-know-what together by the end of the game and helped bail the Sixers out in some situations. Yes, situations that he helped put them in to begin with. But I didn't have a problem with the party. I got a problem with how he played on the court. The last two games. Party or no party. I call that a lowercase W last night. Ooh, Alyssa, I like that. They should do that in the win columns in the standings. It's like next to the win, lowercase. I like that idea. And then like definitely uppercase L's and lowercase L's too. Like, oh, it was a close one. So, or a bad call by a ref, blew the game, whatever. John Cheesebro's just frustrated, but Alyssa, I like your commentary. Lowercase L, that's good. Julian, good morning. Dan Schwartz, hello again. Baba Boucher, hello. Proud of you, Marc, for still watching the Flyers. Well, like I said, not a big hockey fan, just a big Flyers fan. Tobin Stanton, welcome to the chat. Flyers are so bad. Can confirm. I'm not sure why they love Odubel so much. Alyssa, I don't know either. Fuji, what's going on? Good morning. Why not get two outfielders? Stop with the platoon and get. That's another thing about baseball. Good God, the platooning. Well, the platooning's happening because there's so many weird pitchers. Pitchers are weird, man. When they asked me about it on Fox 29 this morning, I'm just going to, spoiler alert, when they asked me about Zach Wheeler, I'm just going to say pitchers are weird. There's no rhyme or reason to this. There's no rhyme or reason why. Apparently, guys' arms were made out of, I don't know, steel for most of my life. And then the second half of my life, they're just, I don't know, made out of rust? I don't know. I'm an idiot. Whatever. I'm just checking the spectral readout. Anyway, don't make any type of sense to me. John, you're correct. Brian King, good morning. Nobody likes it. Can't get behind it, Rick. I'm with you. Agree with John. Out on Odubel and have been for some time. Like, I don't get it. I look, if you go with the moral aspect, I don't get it. You go with how good he is at sports, I don't get it even more. I just don't like Odubel Herrera just bottom line. I don't like him. Baseball player, human, not a fan. Not a fan at all. Yet the Phillies are just there's something there that we just gotta have. No, I'm good. April, good morning. They're more cautious with pitchers now because of the insane amounts that they are getting paid. Only baseball would pay more money to people that are working less. Yeah, we got to pay this amount of money to these big league arms, but they're only going to pitch 5 innings. And a 5-inning game is oh my God, how did you last that long? Wait a minute. You made it twice? You made it twice through a lineup? Oh my God, you made it out of the 3rd inning? Oh, wow, this guy's a workhorse. Zach Wheeler led the league, led all of baseball in innings pitched last year. So I get there's a huge workload, but that was last season. Phillies didn't make the playoffs. He didn't add on to that in the postseason. Again, it's just, what the hell are they doing to these pitchers? Baseball ain't what it used to be, man. They're more cautious with pitchers. I agree with you. You're not wrong, April. I totally agree. But it's just weird to me that it's you pay them that much money. I thought that was to get them to do more. No, do less. So the Phillies will be down Wheeler and Suarez. That's what it looks like, John. That's what doesn't make sense, Dan. Pitchers are always I'm missing some stuff here. John Cheesebro, just like the Sixers always need shooters, the Eagles always need receivers, and the Phillies once again need pitching. You're absolutely right. PJ. John, that's a great point. Pitchers are always talked about as creatures of habit. That's why I'm always whenever people bring up a 6-man rotation, I'm always anti 6-man rotation. Keep them in that routine, whatever they've been doing. And apparently that's what is being applied right now, not by Major League Baseball, but by the pitchers themselves. Like, they didn't want to hit go on their ramp-up period without knowing when they were going to be on the mound for the first time during the season. So when Dave Dombrowski was speaking yesterday about starting pitchers in baseball, oh, no, they can't ramp it up until they know when they're going to go. And then the other thing he said about Zach Wheeler was he's usually a slow starter. Like, he doesn't really get into the swing of things until late in the spring training. And I'm just like, what a life, man. What a life. Just mail it in this amount, and then you're good. And then he's fine. And then last year, hey, look, he was runner-up in the Cy Young candidacy. So, like, for me to question that method now, not exactly good timing. But if he's missing starts at the start of the season, that'll be an issue. Zach Eflin, though, apparently had a great bullpen session. And the funniest thing I heard in yesterday's press conference is from Joe Girardi. He was asked about, hey, what's jumped out to you? And he was like, well, Zach Eflin's bullpen caught my eye, and Aaron Nola's hair is shorter. Just really doing a great job there, Joe. Doing a great job. And Bryce Harper looks big. That's another thing he said. Okay. Like husky, not like built, like a brick you-know-what house. Alyssa, I'm seeing all these totally agrees. Let me make sure I get these points in here. Tom Brady. We'll get to that in the morning rush. JC, maybe Dom Brown. This is Dan Schwartz to JC. Maybe Dom Brown could be the prospect we always dreamed of. They just have to give him a chance at broadcaster. Brady simply couldn't handle the fact that the NFL was going to go on without him. Yeah. I took Tom Brady's retirement with a grain of salt. I was like, can he really stay away? He can play another 23 seasons. He'll still never beat Nick Foles. Huh? Anyway. Brady is a total narcissist. This is from April. Brady, total narcissist, just wanted to see all the accolades and hear how great he was, and he can't stay away from the game. Literally how this went down yesterday, April, in my house, was I was like, oh, wow, Tom Brady's coming back. And my wife goes, is he like that Favre guy that just can't retire? And I go, babe, greatest sports point you've ever made. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly what Tom Brady is. He's like that Brett Favre guy that just didn't know when to retire. So what was funny was when I read the thing about Brady, and I went back and forth with a friend of mine on Twitter. When it was over for Favre, it was over quick. Like I'm talking about when it was actually over. Like, he went from a horrible throw in the NFC Championship game away from another Super Bowl appearance with the Vikings. He went from that to like MVP caliber player, putting up some of the best numbers of his career. He went from that to face slammed into the turf at an outdoor game at Minnesota because they're playing at the Golden Gopher Stadium because the new Minnesota Stadium, US Bank Stadium, was being built. So like that happening in like week 7 or whatever it was, and his career was done. But up until then, he looked awful. Like when Father Time caught up, it wasn't a gradual thing. It was Father Time not tapping him on the shoulder and being like, Brett, I think you're done. It was Father Time running past him, looking at him and being like, you're done. And that's what I think eventually happened to Tom Brady. No matter how much coffee he hasn't drank in his life, no matter how much kale he has eaten in his life, my prediction is this is because, and it's mainly because of Tom Brady even considering retirement to the point of saying he was retiring. I don't think this is a good year for Tom Brady. I think this is the year where I think it's okay to bet against him. I do not think this is going to end well for Tom. Brian Kenny from Major League Baseball from MLB Network. Get off my lawn vibes about the designated hitter. Yeah, John. I agree with you. I'm tired of seeing pitchers just not give a damn. Mopar. Good morning, Mopar. Jim, what's going on, Jim? Nice to have you. Got to roll some lasagna. Okay, first off, Mopar. Bro. Don't ever call it noodles to me. Okay? I'm the farthest thing from an elitist when it comes to this. But a noodle will never touch my pasta board. All right? Whenever somebody says to me, and I have some in-laws will do this occasionally. Oh, can I have some more noodles? Ha! There are a couple of things that grind my gears, okay? And it's not many. I'm a very easygoing guy. But there's a couple of things that just people say that just go, ha! And one of those things is noodles when you refer to pasta. Oh, the noodles? Can I have some noodles? Ah! The other is when people say Italian. Oh, God. And then the final one is Parmesan. And I think it's the Papa John's commercial where John Leguizamo is doing the voiceover, and he goes, and Parmesan cheese. And I'm like, Parmesan. If you're not going to go Parmigiano Reggiano, you Parmesan. And the people that go Zan, oh, God, that's it. That's pretty much it. Everybody else, you do your own thing. You have your fun. I don't care. But those are the things that, oh, God, when I hear it, I just go, I quiver. Anyway, I'm done with that speech. Odubel greater than Jalen Reagor. Mopar from the top rope. Last night was definitely not play the song night. John, you are correct. Also, in addition, the lowercase W, they could put, I guess, in the win column. This is good. We're spitballing ideas here. This is all good stuff. Thanks, everyone, for participating in the chat. You guys are fantastic as per usual. Mopar. Noodle schnoodle. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Mopar. Appreciate you. Let's get into our morning rush. Brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Quick note, Sixers back in action. I already mentioned it. Joel Embiid has to play tonight. 7:30 tip-off against the Nuggets in South Philadelphia. Flyers off till Thursday, so they spare us. From that, Thursday could be Claude Giroux's last game. I believe that's where he gets to 1,000 games. That could be his last game here in Philadelphia. But I will say this, Claude Giroux's list of teams he'll approve a trade to is very short. And Colorado Avalanche just suffered a pretty big injury, so he might be able to get a little bit more in return for a Claude Giroux trade if he ends up going to the Avalanche. So we'll see what ends up coming out of that. John Cheesebro, Farzy versus Mopar in a steel cage match. Yeah, no doubt. Flyers Predators is Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Could be Claude Giroux's last game as a Flyer. We'll see what goes down there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. Much appreciated. Jim Hyden produced the program, did a phenomenal job. This is a Buzz Sports Entertainment production. I will be on Fox 29 coming up 7:45 this morning. And then you can also catch me a little bit more bonus me with my friend Chris DeGaulle on 990 The Answer. No, I don't talk politics. I talk sports, and he brings me in to talk sports. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, great talking to you as always. So make sure you check me out on those other platforms. This is the Farzy Show, presented by Take two. This is the Farzy Show, presented by DestinationRetirement.com. Make sure you check out my friend Mike Seibert from the Steven Singer Studios. Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy. Talk to you tomorrow.